What is going on, guys? It is Wrestlelamia here, back with some more news. Join us now as we look at the 20th November episode of Smackdown, as well as the wildest wrestling news stories and rumors you need to know, including major legal news for the WWE, a contestant dies on John Cena's new game show, another match announced for Survivor Series, and much more. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos, and follow us on Facebook for exclusive lists. As always, we won't recap the show, but just provide you with the good, the bad, and the downright ugly of last night's show. As always, we start off with the good as number 1, Roman and Drew's promo. Although the WWE hasn't spent much time building up Drew vs Roman at Survivor Series, the hype has been phenomenal, beginning with Drew's appearance on last week's Smackdown and continuing with last night's contract signing. Roman's backhanded compliments towards Drew were a reminder of Roman's arrogant claims of being the best in the WWE, and that as talented as McIntyre is, he's a secondary champion compared to him. The WWE heightened the tension between the two, but wisely saved the big action for Sunday. Number 2, Daniel Bryan's promo. Daniel Bryan's return to SmackDown after a storyline injury at the hands of Jey Uso was well done, with Bryan reminding fans what Uso's attack cost him personally, well, his inability to pick up his daughter. Bryan didn't overplay this, and his reminder that Jey had a choice in whether or not to injure him was a subtle way to show Bryan wasn't letting Uso off the hook. Finishing things off with Bryan saying nothing personal, and it was clear that it was very personal as Daniel looks to go after Roman Reigns next. Number 3, no shame in his game. Fans clamoring for Jey Uso's continued push needn't worry about his loss to Daniel Bryan. While Jey Uso lost cleanly to Daniel Bryan, there was no shame in his game as he put on a strong match with an equally strong promo earlier in the night. Jey Uso can't win every match, and the purpose here was to get Bryan closer to facing Universal Champion Roman Reigns, not to build up a lengthy feud between Uso and Bryan. As long as Uso continues getting significant singles wins, he'll be locked in at the upper card. Number 4, the end at last. Seth Rollins' loss to his former disciple Murphy seems to have marked the end of the long program between Rollins and the Mysterio family. Rollins' quest to sacrifice Rey and Dominic Mysterio for the greater good has come full circle, with Murphy not only joining forces with the Mysterios, but defeating his former mentor. The ending may have seemed a bit rushed in light of how the feud has been going on, but the WWE managed to wrap it up without seeming anticlimactic, thus allowing Seth Rollins time to join his fiancée Becky Lynch as they await the birth of their first child. And number 5, brilliant build-up for Survivor Series. Now, the Blue Brand has done a good job building up Survivor Series, both with promos and matches that featured interaction between the stars of Raw and SmackDown, giving fans a taste of what to expect this Sunday as the WWE features its annual inter-brand rivalry. Whether it was the promos by the New Day and the Street Profits, Drew McIntyre's confrontation with Reigns, or the revelation of final competitors in the men's and women's SmackDown Survivor Series teams, fans had plenty of reason to get excited about Survivor Series. But that was the good. What about the bad? As number 1, Sami counts the lights. Now, as good as SmackDown Survivor Series build-up was, the Blue Brand made an egregious error in having Intercontinental Champion Sami Zayn count the lights during the 8-man match. With Zayn facing Raw's Bobby Lashley, there's no reason for Zayn to be booked weekly, regardless of whether he wins or loses at Survivor Series. In fact, this only hurts the match, as a win by Zayn this Sunday will make Lashley look like he couldn't beat a guy half his size who just lost a match on SmackDown. Conversely, a win by Lashley will be meaningless again due to Zayn's loss on SmackDown. Puzzling booking for a largely excellent show. Number 2 is Bayley heel or face. While it could have been a sign of solidarity for her SmackDown teammates, Bayley showed some babyface tendencies as she hugged Natalya and seemed uncharacteristically happy in the ring with the 4 other women for the Blue Brand Survivor Series team. Now, hopefully this isn't a sign that Bayley is going to go back to the lovable hugger that she once was, as her heel work has been more impressive. And number 3, no love for Biggie? Now, we're only listing this as bad because right now it looks like Biggie won't be on the SmackDown men's squad this Sunday. While something tells us the team lineup is going to change on Sunday, for now it's disappointing that Biggie isn't being treated as more of a supporting player in the New Day vs Street Profits rivalry than a single star. Now, there was nothing downright ugly about SmackDown as it hyped Survivor Series well and laid the groundwork for the coming program between Daniel Bryan and Roman Reigns. Expect to see some major storylines develop coming out of Survivor Series, and you can be certain we will have a full recap and analysis of Sunday's pay-per-view. What did you guys think of the go-home episode of SmackDown? Let us know in the comments down below. But now, let's move on to the news. our first story looks at the WWE settling a lawsuit for $39 million. There's big news on the legal front as the WWE has settled a lawsuit filed against it, alleging the company withheld important information concerning their business dealings with Saudi Arabia, including the incident after 2019's Crown Jewel event, in which a slew of superstars and employees were stranded or detained depending on which story you believe. The WWE has settled for $39 million, a remarkable number as we're about to see. The lawsuit was originally filed by the city of Warren, Michigan's police and fire retirement system, and a number of other parties joined in with it, with Ringside News reporting the lawsuit claimed that senior-level WWE executives sold more than $280 million worth of shares at fraud-inflated prices. The company was accused of withholding information concerning the progress of their broadcasting deal in Saudi Arabia and their plans to expand in the Middle East. Dave Meltzer spoke on the settlement during a recent Wrestling Observer Radio, saying, "At one point, I think I counted 21 different lawsuits that all copied the original one, and with high-power people too. Discovery was coming, they had witnesses. I know some of the things that were going on behind the scenes, and it was going to be, nothing that was going to come out wasn't something we didn't already know and wasn't already reported, but it was all going to come out." Meltzer's comments that nothing was going to come out that wasn't reported are questionable, as there are several different narratives concerning just what happened in Saudi Arabia after the 2019 Crown Jewel event. If allegations that the WWE's wrestlers and staff were forcibly detained due to a dispute between Vince McMahon and the Saudi government were proven true, it would be a black eye for the WWE. The WWE has denied anything happened in Saudi Arabia other than the mechanical issues, but as we've previously reported, there were witnesses ready to testify to the contrary. Meltzer noted that the amount WWE settled on for the case is substantial. That's more than the Owen Hart case. That's double than the Owen Hart case. I mean, people that are thinking it's settled for nothing. This is a large amount of money. They do have insurance to cover it, but their insurance premiums are going to go through the roof. And Vince McMahon rarely settles lawsuits, and it's likely he knew the consequences of taking the case to trial could be devastating financially, as well as to reveal what really happened in Saudi Arabia. Next up, a contestant dies on John Cena's show Wipeout. There's terrible news regarding the new version of the game show Wipeout, as a contestant experienced chest pains and went into cardiac arrest after completing the show's obstacle course and suffering cardiac arrest. Medical personnel on site provided emergency assistance until paramedics took the contestant to the hospital. Unfortunately, the contestant passed away at the hospital. There's been no word from John Cena in relation to this. Next up, Sasha Banks and Alexa Bliss squash backstage heat. Is a rumored backstage heat between Smackdown Women's Champion Sasha Banks and Alexa Bliss over? A recent interview by Stephanie Chase with The Boss suggests this is so. When asked who she would like to team up with in the ring now that her tag team partnership with Bayley is over, Banks remarked, "I would have to choose Alexa Bliss. She's so cute." This is quite a change given the rumors of backstage heat between the two that dates back several years. According to Wrestling News' Paul Davis, the rumor is that their heat started back in 2014 when they were in an NXT match that ended up with Bliss suffering a broken nose. Fans noticed that they were stiff with each other in a 2015 match and again in 2017 when they were involved in a brawl on an episode of Smackdown. Life is too short for feuds like this, and hopefully Banks and Bliss are reconciled. Next up, a big spoiler with regards to another big name appearing at Undertaker's final farewell. There are a number of big names rumored to be at this Sunday's final farewell ceremony for The Undertaker, including Kurt Angle, Kane, The Godfather, and Savio Vega. Now it looks like JBL could be there as well. The former member of The Undertaker's Ministry of Darkness recently talked to Sportskeeda's Unscripted about the ceremony. I'm not sure if anything's been announced whether I'll be there, so I'll leave the first part of that question alone. Next up, The Undertaker's $1,000 cameos sell out. If you're still thinking about getting a personal message from The Undertaker on Cameo for the affordable price of $1,000, sadly you're out of luck, as the limited run of videos sold out in 24 hours. Don't be surprised if Taker needs some pocket change down the road and offers more videos. Next up, a new match added to Survivor Series. Now the WWE has announced a special match for the pre-show with stars from Raw and SmackDown competing in a dual brand battle royal. There's no word on how many participants or who the competitors will be, or what even you get out of this as a winner. But there you have it guys, the good, the bad and the downright ugly from this week's Smackdown, as well as the wildest wrestling news stories. Be sure to leave your comments down below, subscribe if you haven't already, follow us on Instagram and Facebook for exclusive lists, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.